What is going on, everyone? Sammy Original Guy here, aka Mr. Cannon from Advanced Wars by Web, bringing you a brand new replay commentary. Today, it's actually one of my matches. So, I was browsing the Discord, as I usually do, lurking here and there, and I happened to caught wind of a little conversation that was going on discussing Colin without his co-power. So, no Gold Rush. Is Colin, with no Gold Rush, a contender for like tier 1 or the tier 0 COs? You know, is Colin still powerful enough with his day-to-day and just his super co-power to contend against the big boys of the tier 1? So lots of people were talking about it on the Discord, and then I happened to just chime in with a couple statements here and there, and then interestingly enough, I basically just got volunteered to play this game, and somebody was like, hey, you know, yes, Sammy, you should get in there, you should go test it out, test the waters, you know. So here we are, folks, here we are. So I decided to just go along with it and be like, hey, you know, whatever, you know, it's probably be a good time, who knows. Now, when I was thinking about this originally, I was kind of thinking to myself, like, is Colin even good enough to take on somebody like Von Bolt, right? So as we know, Colin, his day-to-day abilities is he gets minus 20% deployment cost for all his units. So like infantry costs 200, like tanks cost like 5,600, you know, stuff like that, right? It's extremely cheap units, but they're hot garbage. So they only have 100 or like 90% firepower. So like the two hits just the KOs just don't happen when you're playing as Colin. Now maybe if you're playing as somebody playing against somebody, I should say, that is able to like not have plus 10% defense, you might be able to get those KOs still. But my opponent here was Azrael. Now, Azrael, I believe he's Astaroth on the Discord or something like that. You know, he's a fairly well-known character on the Advanced Wars by Web Discord. You know, you see him quite often, just chatting it up. And he was like, oh, I'll play Von Bolt in this situation. So, I got stuck playing Colin in this situation. So, interesting enough. But, I mean, we all know Bolt, right? 10-10, very standard stuff. And he just has a really big co-power. And it's Ex Machina. Stuns, damage, boom. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now, Azrael decided to pick up this map here today, and it was String Theory, actually, which is it's an interesting map for sure. There's a lot of stuff going on in this map too, but it's super terrain heavy here, which is kind of favorable to the old Von Bolt, I think. But I mean, the thing with Colin is he's able to get lots and lots of units out really, really quick. So, either way, I got the damage calculator up here because we're going to just kind of go over a bunch of calculations as we're going into this one. And we're just going to see what happened, right? So, this one was just all fun and games, you know? So, let's take a look here. We got standard infantry builds, you know, nothing out of the ordinary there. Boom, day 2. Going up for caps, you know, nothing out of the ordinary there too. So this map has access to an airport up here and access to a base right here, right? Mirrored opposites right here. So those are two very important things to go for right away for sure. Now I go for a base, obviously, and start capping a property here. Now the one thing that is nice about Colin, you know, because he's got those really cheap units, he's going to be able to get lots and lots of them on the field like super quick. But we'll see. So, day 3, I decided to go APC right here because, you know, I can afford it, right? I got the money, you might as well go APC. I'm thinking about either propelling up to this property here or maybe this property up here. That's my thought, right? So, let's see what happens with that one. So, Von Bolt, yeah, just busting out the infantry. There's not really anything else that you need to buy at the moment, so yeah, so I bring the APC right here. This guy's pretty close to capping this property too, so I figured, like, you know, a boost isn't really necessary at the moment. This guy's gonna go down here, cap this one. There is a property down here that needs to be capped. I'm probably gonna leave it to this guy. You know, plop there, easy peasy, right? Okay, let's see what happens next here. So day 5, And Azrael is going to finish off a bunch of caps, build the first tank right here. So we do have a tank over here on our weak side. In all honesty, the weak side tank isn't really that bad, right? I mean, there's a lot of properties over here that are gonna get a lot of units, a lot of infantry close to for caps, right? So I think this is probably a pretty good play. Alright, so I propel all the way up to the comm tower right here, because I decide to not go for this property. I'm going to try to go for this property here. Now, I figured, because I have two bases here, right? So if I build units out of both of these bases, funnel them over here, and be able to maybe like get to this position right here, maybe I can get a tank on this position, and just be able to kind of like hold the line over there, right? So that's kind of my thought here. So I do manage to build a tank of my own here. Azrael is sitting at 11,000 funds right now, 9,000 income every single day, so he's able to buy a few more units. Actually, does a base skip right now to get a battlecopter, which I think is a pretty good idea, actually. So, first case study of the night here. We're gonna see anti-air versus battlecopter right here, right? So we can see the anti-air versus battlecopter without a comm tower is actually not even a guaranteed kill. It is a likely kill, being like 97 to 105, but it's not a guaranteed kill, which is kind of interesting. You know, things can survive. Things can survive. All right, do another little tiny boost with the APC, just funneling like one infantry there, get that. So I got 13k in the bank right now, so I can buy a few units, right? So I buy another tank, anti-air, to contend with that right now. So my thought is like, you know, okay, so I know I have a decreased amount of firepower, right? So if I can just like get a lot of units on the field, then maybe I can just like beat them with numbers, right? Okay, so built another tank, and infantry are just like steadily going along, right? Not really any need for any boosties here. They're kind of just moving along, easy peasy. I don't build anything down here though, which I think might be a little bit of a mistake. I think I probably should have built maybe like a battlecopter or something at least. That would have forced him to build like an anti-air or something over on this side. But instead, Azrael's going pretty heavy on the vehicles on the weak front here. So he manages to push up here. He's sitting right here now. I'm not like feeling too hot about that, because like this guy, right? He could have went and capped this property, but he decides to not do that. He decides to just push right here and start a threat on this dude, right? So I'm like, ew, it's not very good. But there's not really much that you can do about that, you know. So I decide to cap the property. Now it's in a position where I might lose the property because it can be two-struck by two dudes right here. So it's kind of a dicey situation for sure. I get the anti-air up like as far as we can go, but unfortunately that is a free dude, and that is definitely going to get hit right there. And he starts a cap on the property. And he builds a recon, another tank. Recon down here is pretty good. I mean, there's only infantry down here right now, so it's not too bad. I built a transport copter because I'm hoping to at least get a few more infantry to the front lines up here. A little bit quicker, that would be fantastic. Managed to get my comm tower, which is nice. Pull the APC back right now because I think I'm planning on going up and doing an attack here, right? Okay, so we see that there's a tank versus a tank shot right here. Now this tank is sitting on a forest, which means it gets plus 20% defense, you know, plus the initial like 10% defense from Von Bolt, right? So take a look at this like little encounter right now. And I'm like, okay, so it does like 38 to 44%. You know, it could potentially take him down to 6. It's gonna counterattack for basically the exact same amount of damage. But if I just like let him wall up there, it's not gonna be a good time for me, right? So I have to take the engagement. Managed to get a little bit lucky, so that's cool. So we take it down to 6, and we only get taken down to 7. So now there's a very interesting thing here, right? So if you take a look at this, right? So Von Bolt is going to have his comm tower next turn. So we're going to take a look at that, right? So if we take a look at that and plop a little 1 in there and take a look at this shot. This does 36 to 41% damage as like a counter attack or like a secondary attack. And it basically just obliterates it. Just absolutely obliterates it. But I need to not have those units there, right? You gotta go up and do some damage, right? 6-7 trade right there, so very, very not good. But that's essentially the defense of an HQ right there, right? But I mean, that's my income. We can't just let him have the income. Okay, so build 2 more tanks. Another tank, artillery right there, or not artillery, but anti-air right there. And I'm really kind of thinking to myself, like, okay, so there's really only like one option that you have with Colin when you're fighting people, right? And that's to get tech up units really, really quick. So in a normal Colin battle, you only need 2 stars to get a gold rush, right? And you can get a really good gold rush by like just maybe building 1 turn of infantry, or like, you know, not going overboard on your buys 1 turn. And then the next turn you have like 20 some odd K or more, and then you pop a gold rush, and then boom, you got lots and lots of money, and then you can start spamming out stinky neo tanks, spamming out the classy medium tanks, you know? And then that would be a lot more effective against these tanks here, instead of just doing an equal or even a bad, I would say it's just a bad trade in general. So yeah, it's interesting. Alright, yeah, so I go up and take the attack, and then I get blasted to smithereens, like 3-5 right there. So a singular tank is not going to be able to win an engagement against a Von Bolt tank. You're going to need at least 2, like minimum, to be able to do anything. Smart move with the copter though here, you know. The copter is not really going to be super effective over here, so you might as well bring it down here. So that's a good play for sure. And he's just got lots of infantry down here. So I got to start thinking about building some units down here. If I don't, it's going to get overrun like pretty quick. Now I take out the 1 tank right there, which was pretty nice. And I take this guy down to 1. I think I go in for a roll and I get the roll. So it's going to be the only roll that you see all night, folks. It's going to be a good time. All right, so we managed to get the roll, which is nice. I'm feeling pretty good about that. I'm like, okay, you know, this is like not too bad. Send the rest of the tanks forward, build tank down here, like 3 vehicles built this turn. I think that's pretty good. You know, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks like ready to go in this area. So like it's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. But day 10. So Azarel, the Mr. Bolt, goes up here and takes an 8-6 engagement right here, which is pretty good for me. I think I definitely didn't do too bad on the luck right there. So it wasn't too shabby. Wasn't too shabby. It's going up to start cap on this property here now. And he's interrupting another one of my caps. And he's just generally pushing forward. Brings the battlecopter all the way down here. So at this moment, we're like even in properties, right? But now I'm kind of thinking to myself, okay, like I need to make something happen here. If I don't make something happen, things are just going to get like awfully bad, awfully quick, right? So I'm thinking to myself, what are the options here, right? I have a 3 HP tank right here, and I'm about to lose this property right here. So I think one of the first things that I decide to do, well, I send the anti-air down here, right? Send this 3 HP tank over here to take a shot at this guy right here, taking it down to 6. And then I know this is going to be a losing engagement, right, if I just continue the cap. So I think I just decide to attack. I attack these infantry down here, managing to take that one out, so that was okay. I'm in range of the recon, though, which is kind of unfortunate. And then I take an engagement here, and I have, like, more defense. Well, equal defense, I would say. But I end up losing the engagement. And it's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate indeed. And I don't really have an option right here because I have to stop him from getting these caps, and I don't really have the units to contend here, right? I have a bunch of units up here ready to go. So I'm thinking like what an idea could be is I send some units into the middle, right? Maybe if I can take out this tank, I'll be able to send whatever else is left over down south to help with this area. So I believe this turn I go in for a little attack here. So I attack here, and it's like, you know, 6-7. Not a great engagement. I take the secondary engagement. So there's a reason why I'm attacking from the road. It's gonna be made very clear very soon. So I take the second engagement. I'm hoping for a little bit of luck, but we take it all the way down to 3, which is unfortunate. But all in all, this guy is fairly protected. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I decide to actually bring in the anti-air, right? Because this is my next attacker. So I'm hoping that maybe with some luck, this guy might be able to KO him. But I know it's not possible. 17 to 23, I mean, there is some slight chance that maybe it's sitting at around 23, but I'm not going to go through like the full scale math to figure it out, but I only take it down to 1. So 3 units is not enough to take out a Von Bolt tank on a city. So, yes. That is a thing that happened. Okay, so yeah, so I am trying to get my units out here, right? But, yeah, we're going to see what happens here. So, Azuro, 17k in the bank, about to cap a bunch of properties here, which is super unfortunate. Just completely obliterates that tank, like, absolutely no problem right there. Takes out the infantry, brings another tank forward. Sends in the recon, takes shots at my infantry down there, destroys the infantry I used to interrupt, builds another tank, another copter, takes my infantry down to 1, and takes out my transport copters. So not anything out of the ordinary there. Okay, so at this point, like, you would be able to get a gold rush, you know. Gold rush, boom, 20k to 30k. You'd be able to start getting some big units. Normally, if I was going to be Colin here, I'd probably buy a fighter, actually, to help with this area. So fighter would be like my #1 thought, and then probably just spam out a bunch more tanks at that moment. But, you know, this is copless Colin. Copless Colin, we got no cop. Got no cops up in here. So I take a little 2-shot right here, right? So that's okay. And then I'm thinking to myself, it's like, okay, so this is like possible, right? So my next attack that I'm thinking is this one right here. So 44 to 51 with a comm tower. So I take it down to 6, right? So take it down to 6, and then we're looking at this 46 to 53, right? So it's a roll. But I think with like the 2 units, this is supposed to be only 2-star terrain at this moment. So I'm thinking it's like, okay, this is possible, right? Because what I want to do here is I want to take this guy out, and then I want to take this guy out, and then I want to bring another tank up here because this tank is not actually in position to cover this tank. I would only be retaliated with 1 tank strike, and then I would be able to start, like, you know, getting some stuff done. But as you can see here, unfortunately, we are not lucky. We have absolutely no luck, and our units are just so puny. So puny. And this is only 2-star defense, right? I mean, he's only got plus 10% defense. And right now, I mean, the units are base, right? Because I have a comm tower. So, I mean, they're 100 attack power units, but we can't finish off a single infantry on a plane. So that is like, that was a very devastating blow to my moral right there. But I mean, we're not out of the woods yet, you know? So going up, taking shots, try to get lucky with an attack here, and we actually end up failing. So, I mean, if I was thinking that I was feeling down before, I'm feeling like extra down right now because we did not manage to get that kill. Like, I just wanted to get that kill, man. Like, it should have happened. Should have happened. And this one should have happened too. Like, I swear to God, this attack should have worked. Like, it should have worked. But it didn't, you know? And then we're stuck with, like, very little options here. So maybe, I think what I could have done is maybe we should bring these two tanks, like, down here. And then, like, secure the middle. Thinking could be possible, but I think instead of doing that, I just bring them up a little bit forward. So we're putting 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks in the way of like 2 tanks right now. So it's okay. There's so much terrain here though. Decided to build 2 battlecopters and a tank down south too, if you guys didn't see that. Sitting on my HQ. There's a lot of units right here I'm not feeling too hot about. So starting to try to build the unit count down south here. Okay, so now Azrael, 18k in the bank, and it's his turn. So easily takes a shot at one of my tanks there. Takes a huge, like, just takes the biggest engagement of all time right here. Taking this guy all the way down to 2. And then 3 HP tank moving in, and this is not a very good position here. So manages to hit the anti-air pretty hard, and hits the tank pretty hard as well. So that's quite unfortunate. Now, if my original plan had worked, he wouldn't have had one of these tanks here, so he would only be able to strike one thing. And I think that would have been a lot better for me. But you know, c'est la vie, we are in the situation that we're in. This battlecopter's swinging all the way back up now because I only have the 1 anti-air. So this side is not looking very good. And now we're basically fighting equal with tanks, right? So there's no way that these tanks can win. I mean, even if you have like 5 tanks versus 3 Von Bolt tanks, it's... I'm gonna say it, it's kind of questionable whether or not you would even be able to win like in the long run. Ugh, it is definitely questionable. I mean, you have to get 3, you have to get all the first strikes, right? But if you don't, it's like, it's not going to be good. So, I don't really have many options here for that guy. I could bring him back, but he would just be out of the fray for too long. So I decided to just try to go up and do a little bit of damage to one of the units there. And I pull my units back at this point, because, I mean, it's going to be impossible to fight into that. It looks like I've pretty much lost the center at this point, and I'm trying to wait until I get Power of Money. I've also banked a bunch here, so Power of Money will be able to give me a little bit more firepower when it finally pops. But the problem here is I actually kind of did an oopsie, and I pulled these guys back way too far. And I basically just let the center go here. So I'm not feeling super hot about that. But he does pull back over here because now he knows he can't win this front. And now he's starting to push the mid. And he's sitting at 19,000 money right now. And there's basically like nothing I can really do to interrupt the caps that are happening right now, right? Because I mean, I could send the units forward, but there's no KO potential. Like, I would have to have 3 units just to be able to KO something. So let's say, for example, that I have a tank and he's got an infantry, and that infantry decides to start capping a property here. I mean, the tank is only going to do 45 to 50. Now let's say that guy sits at 6, 54 to 60. I mean, that's not a guaranteed KO, right? I mean, it's good odds of getting a KO, but it's not guaranteed. So it's a little bit of a difficult situation. All right, so let's continue on. So it is my turn. I try to stop whatever caps that I can. I bring the battle copters close, and I bust out this classy medium tank right here, which is just the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your entire existence. So it's pretty good. He's looking good. He's looking classy. But Azrael right now, okay, so he's just capped a bunch of properties, sitting at 21. He's going to get these 2 properties, which is going to put him at 23. So any sort of bonus that I would get at this point from having cheaper units is like null and void. And he's pulling back so that I can't get a super co-power on him. So I take a little bit of stride with that. So I push my units up a little bit, do a little bit of damage, and I'm trying to gain some ground back. So I'm thinking like, okay, so if I can just like hold out here, then yeah, I can like start getting some big guys, you know. We might be able to get enough dudes where our power of money will be able to be very, very effective. Because I mean, power of money is a very strong co-power, but it scales with money. And if you're unable to build up money with your co-power constantly, then you're just sitting at sort of like normal amount of funds. So it's not like the bee's knees when it comes to overall powers. It is a good power though, I will give it that. So Azrael starts going full center here, which is making me feel pretty not wonderful. Because if these guys decide to rush over to my HQ, it doesn't really matter how many dudes I have down here. I'm not going to be able to contend with that amount of guys. Now, I have my dudes up here, but he's also getting pretty close to Super Co-Power. I mean, he is kind of far away from Super Co-Power, but he's not like super, super far. But I push my units up into a line right here, and I decide to try to go in for a few more attacks down south, but it's really just not doing a whole lot of damage. But I do kind of feel like I need to get some properties here. Like, I need to try to flip a few properties in my favor, because fighting 24,000 to 17,000 is not very good. But the problem is I'm stuck in this situation, and even if I did try to push out a little bit earlier, the units were just not going to be able to be effective. They were just going to get KO'd by anything that I sent them up to attack. Because like the equivalent would be like an 8 HP Von Bolt tank could probably take out a full HP Colin tank, like no problem. So he does have a medium tank ready to go up here, and he does a little bit more of a push down here, getting pretty risky in my opinion. Let's see, he's pulled down a lot of dudes. There's a lot of dudes down there. And now I have the Super Co-Power, right? And I have 26,000 monies banked up, so I'm not feeling too bad about it. Decided to pop the Super Co-Power. But with the amount of units that just pushed down south here, I'm feeling not super good. Not super good. I do see a few attacks here that I'm able to do, right? So, for instance here, let's pop in the first attack here. So, boom. We have a 3 HP anti-air versus a Von Bolt copter. Just does 63% damage. So that's pretty good for a 3 HP unit. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like amazing, but it's a lot of firepower bonus. So, you know, we can't fault it. Now we have a tank or a copter versus copter engagement here. So I think at this point it's like a what would be the bonus here? 66, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. It's like 60-70% firepower or something like that. But anyway, so let's take that shot here. We do manage to take out one of those dudes right there, which is pretty good. So I swing back to take out that dude, and then we're going to be able to take out this dude right here. Now this is a pretty good engagement here. So this is 97 to 105 with the firepower bonus that we have. So we do manage to take that guy out. Swing a copter forward, take another shot here, take a shot on that tank. Now unfortunately I'm blocked in, or blocked out, so we're not going to be able to push past this section here. And once again, with Von Bolt's superior defense and a city, I'm essentially locked out of being able to get to the HQ right now. So that's a very dangerous situation to be in, especially with Ex Macarena ready to go. So, you know, the dancing is going to start here pretty soon. Alright, so bring the APC up, and then I decide to start just going ham over here, folks. So I'm taking a shot against this medium tank, because I noticed that I do 22 to 29 with the Super Co-Power, so I'm like, okay, that's not like terrible. So we take an engagement, and we take another engagement, take it all the way down to 5. Take this guy down a little bit, take this guy down a little bit. And then I attacked this guy. Maybe I should have attacked the 4 HP and went in over here. But I think what my plan was is I wanted to block that section right there with the tank. And now I have Ex Macarena ready to go here. So once again, if I wasn't fighting against Von Bolt, these guys would be able to like swing over here in the middle and be able to start pressuring the middle too. But I need to make a missile bait, right? So the only thing that I have that's available that could be hit by the missile would be this right here. So that's what we do. We bait the missile right there. We build a couple more tanks. I'm hoping to get them over here as quickly as possible. This forest tile is BS, by the way. Get this guy out of here. We don't want that guy there anymore. Very unfortunate. Super fortunate right here. I get a little bit of revenge on the old 1 HP infantry from before. You know, today we are the ones who knock, and it was glorious. I consider that a win on its own right there. Okay, so yeah, at this point, Von Bolt is able to just like push up and do tons of damage here. And even with the super, right, like 60-70% firepower bonus, it doesn't really matter too much. So he takes me down to 6, and I take him down to 8. So even though I have like a massive firepower bonus, he's just got so much defense. This is like 40% defense right now, just sitting on a forest right there. So he's just got that defense, and you can't take him out. He's too strong. He's a strong boy. And now he's threatening the HQ. He's doing an attack on the HQ. And he's doing a cap with a 1 HP infantry, which is insanely annoying because, like I said, he's covering that tile right there. He's blocking off the assault. Okay, so that's about it here. So we lost a few units here. They're not going to be able to go out anywhere. The other thing that you have to think about too when you're playing as Colin, and I didn't mention this before, but there was a few moments when I was thinking to myself, it's like, okay, could I just like go up and, you know, sack these units, or not sack, but do some engagements, and then maybe get my Super Co-Power a little bit earlier, and then be able to like attack this section down here, like surprise attack them and do a bunch of damage. I was thinking to myself, like, is that possible? And I'm doing all the calculations, and then I realized something. Colin's units are cheaper than everybody else's, which actually goes into the calculations when it comes to power meter charge, right? So normally, if you sack a battlecopter into an anti-air, you get the 9,000 you know, battle damage into your co-power meter plus whatever chip damage you do against the anti-air itself. But for Colin, he only gets 7,200 because his copter only costs 7,200. He's not going to do any damage to an anti-air anyways, so you don't even have to worry about that. But that was a little thing that I realized a little bit too late in this match. I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. Alright, so I do a couple engagements here, and then I think I made like a terrible mistake. So essentially, the way that Azuro is set up right now, it's it's basically an unstoppable HQ cap. There's not really much that I can do to prevent it. I can move in and do some attacks, but because these guys are frozen, they're not going to be able to get down and help. These guys that I just built are too slow and they can't make it past like this section right here. I can build a bomber and I can hope that maybe I can send a bomber to like maybe dislodge something that's right here, and then I can get in. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could potentially hit from that square, but look how many tanks he's got right there. It's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. So at that point, just rushes in, blocks every single avenue of attack that I possibly could go for. And that was pretty much about it. So I go in and do a couple attacks here and just see what's possible. Not really too much possible. Maybe if he didn't manage to get the HQ here, if the battle kept on going, I think maybe I could have started to turn the tables here. Maybe if it wasn't a map where the HQ was completely isolated almost from any sort of resupply. Just with so many choke points that you can't break. you can't break these choke points. It's impossible as Colin. You just don't have the firepower. Oh god, it's terrible. This is absolutely terrible. So luckily I'm Colin, so I managed to buy 3 APCs and a transport copter as my GG well played at the very end there. But that's the way it went. So wow, it was quite a battle. It was quite a battle. So my afterthoughts about this is like, Colin without co-power, is he still viable? I'm gonna honestly say that yes, he is definitely still viable without a co-power. He's just a lot more underwhelming than what he could be. Now I think if Colin was playing on like a medium size to a small map, well, maybe not a small map, but a medium-sized map. Like, I would consider this map kind of big, to be completely honest. If he was playing on, like, a smaller map where his tech ups, if they did, like, you know, make their way to the onto the field, like, super early, you know, because you can get, like, 12,000, 13,000 GP medium tanks, right? So if you actually manage to get those units and they actually could get to the front lines where they could be valuable a lot quicker, I think it would be a lot better for Colin, for sure. But this one, this map in particular, just didn't really go that way. Now, I think if we go all the way back to, you know, some of the earlier days here, definitely one of the issues here was this pullback right here was not really great. I think, like, maybe we should have just continued to, like, brute force our way in here. Like, that could have been an option for sure. We could have just continued to brute force it, but I mean, we would have been hit by 3 copters and the remnants of like this tank right here, right? And the remnants of this tank. Like, if we did push in there, it wouldn't have been good, right? But overall, I think like the thing that really got us here is defense. Defense got us. But I swear to God, if this little attack right here had worked, I'm telling you that I'm pretty sure things would have gone a lot different. Because I would have been able to take this guy out to at least a manageable level, right? So 33, 38, and this guy goes down 7. This guy would obviously, like, you know, take a pretty big hit, but then we do that, takes it all the way down to 3. So this guy would have been, you know, basically out of the picture. And then we would have had 1, 2, 3 tanks, 4 tanks ready to go with only 1 tank to counterattack. Then it would have been an easy swing down south, right? Like, I don't know, does the move planner pop up here? Let me see here. Yeah, this is a move planner, right? So let's say that this actually worked, right? So we managed to do that. Yeah, I just want to pretend for a moment that everything is good. So we take out that, and then these 2 would have been used to take out, well, this guy probably would have still went there. This guy would have went there. Yeah, this guy would have been like down to 3. This guy probably would have been down to like a generous 7. This guy right here. So yeah, I probably would have looked something like this, right? And then this guy would move up here, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so he would have just been sitting like right here. This guy would be like right there. So like we would look like that, right? We would only have 1 tank able to come in and do an attack. It would probably sit right there and attack this guy if it attacked anything. But let's say, like, you know, maybe he pulls back. Maybe he gives me a little bit of ground, right? And then right afterwards, I can just be like, oh, look at me. I'm all the way down here now. Oh, my God. And then we sit here, and then we even go on the pipe seam, and then we just move here, and then we move this guy back over there, and then we move this guy here. This guy here, and then we move this guy here, and we make a big smiley face. That's how it should have went, folks. That's how it should have went. But, you know, it didn't go that way. It went a different way. So, either way, I had a blast playing the game. Thank you, Azrael. And thank you to the Advanced Wars by Web community who is in the Discord every single day just chatting it up, coming up with wacky things that people can do every single day. So, it's beautiful. Thank you, folks. This has been the Semi-Original Guy. Make sure you stay classy, build medium tanks, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye for now.